Hey,
Mic
hey,
check.
hey.
Mic check one,
Mic check,
two.
mic check. Welcome back, everybody, to the fourth episode of Rice, Spice, and Everything Nice, a podcast where we, three college students at Cal State Long Beach, discuss some racial and ethical issues. And by we, I mean myself, Colin. We got Steven, and we got Harrison. This is meant to be less of a research based podcast and more of a casual conversation and what we can do moving forward with the information that we find. Today's topic for conversation is microaggressions. And the textbook definition of microaggressions are like a statement or an action or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as like a racial or ethnic minority. That's different from like a macroaggression because macroaggressions are like these large scale, overt acts of discrimination that target entire groups of people based on their race, gender, culture, or other characteristics. Macroaggressions can be found in the structures, policies, and programs of institutions and society. For example, policies that create more favorable conditions for certain candidates to be hired, retained, and promoted. Now, that's just the textbook definition of it, and we've kind of like shot the breeze about this before we started recording. Um, but do you guys have any like personal accounts of microaggressions or like have any familiarity with it?
Yeah, definitely. As an Asian, people always say I'm good at math.
Yeah,
That's a microaggression to me
that's. I mean, like if
because
it's casual conversation, yeah.
because math is actually not my fan. So
What is something you feel like you're really good at, Harrison?
uh, I don't know. I work out a lot. I'm really big compared to like other Asians, so that like make me stand out from the Asian, I guess.
You're
So
one
you
of a
feel like
kind.
he's not so much a mathematician wizard, but
Yeah.
he can definitely help you move and do your yard work. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Steven, what about you?
Yeah, you said it right there, my brother.
Yeah.
Apparently, I am, to most people, they would think that I know how to do yard work or I'm a very good carpenter for
Why
some
is
reason.
that? Why is that?
Just because I'm a little bit of brown on that side, I might
Oh,
stand outside a Home Depot, you
hey,
know.
$20 is $20, dude. If you want me to help me move some junk off your house property or
Yeah,
whatever, and throw it in the truck and take it to the dump, I got you. I do
yeah.
that. Shit, $20, $20.
It'd be like on the smallest things too. Like, hey, you know how to hang up a shelf? I'm like, uh, what? Yes, it's
I
very easy.
mean, that's racist as fuck, but like, yeah, I do. Let me go get my level and my drill. But
Which
like,
I do have, by the way.
I mean, at a certain point, like, I feel like everybody should have at least a basic set of tools. Um, okay, so going past personal accounts, Harrison, you listened to the NPR podcast about microaggressions. What'd you find from that?
Yeah, they talk about example in there. They give example about like, hey, you see a Asian and they talk perfect English, and you ask them, hey, why you speak English so well? But the people just born in the America. That is one of the example of the microaggression they give during the podcast. And they talk about microaggression usually happen in a date, a daily. It's a daily thing compared to the macro aggression. And I also watched a video on the YouTube. We talk about how microaggression is just like a mosquito bite. Like you
Mm.
get it all every day, and then one of the day you just keep getting bites from the mosquito bite, and people will get angry about it, and it will cause like a bigger trouble. Like people may just say, "Oh, it's not really a big deal," but at the end, it will lead to other problems. For example, if someone keep getting this idea of black people are danger, something like this. And then if they consume carry, and when he saw a black dude walking on the street and start like fire his weapon to the black guy, it might cause those kind of problems in our society. So that's why I think even though microaggression, when you're seeing it, it's like it's all small stuff happen in daily life, but it could lead to a bigger problem.
Do you feel like microaggressions can kind of go hand in hand with almost like what was it, labeling theory?
Yeah,
So how we kind of label people as like either problematic or like associate different kinds of, I guess,
yeah,
issues with certain people or different traits with people, and it'll perpetuate to a point where it can kind of explode, honestly, like
yes,
on a personal or societal level.
yes.
Um,
It's I like the idea of the mosquito because it's like mosquito. Everyone got bite, and
oh yeah,
sometimes mosquito will transfer disease. Same
that's
Yeah.
as
actually a really
the
good analogy.
yeah, microaggression.
Because it's not an overt act like a macro aggression, but it's just these little annoying little bites that take away at you, and eventually you know you s- you get angry and you try to smack the motherfucker and try to be like, all right, that's it, I'm out for blood. Where's that fucking mosquito? I'm gonna beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I think Steven, you read the CNN article about like what was the CNN article about?
Well, the CNN article that I read was by Kristen Rogers, right? It was about the title of it is called "Dear Anti-Racist Allies: Here's How to Respond to Microaggression." It pretty much summarizes the how people pretty much use microaggression um, and don't really know it. For instance, one of the response that they would say is, "You don't sound black." Now, some of these sayings that are in this article, I personally have heard myself numerous times throughout my time in like either college or my personal life, or my friends using it as well.
Can you give us
Uh,
some examples of like some common microaggression statements?
yeah, absolutely. This one is one of my favorites. I don't say it, but I hear it a lot. That's why I'm
Oh
saying it's
god.
one of my favorites.
Oh god.
I'm not racist. I have a black friend.
Oh, I think we've all heard something like that.
I think everyone, a majority of listeners, have heard this saying by many people, or probably them themselves have said it and are still saying it. Don't really say or know that that it's considered like a micro aggression. So, this is very
What
a
other ones you
stereotype,
got?
honestly. There's plenty more other ones. For another one,
Give me some common ones.
when I look at you, I don't see color.
Oh fuck! God knows. Hell, I think I've even said that at some point in time.
I think
I
I
don't see
actually
color, man.
said that like around middle school timeline, actually.
Yeah, that's like about the time. Like, hey, dude, I don't see color. You know, like what? I'm colorblind. Shit like that.
Yep. Another common one was all lives matter.
Oh,
Honestly,
as opposed to that seems to
Black lives
have,
matter. Yeah,
yeah,
that one
seems to
takes
be the
a little
counter call
more.
sign.
Yeah, that one takes a little more deep into like understanding how that one is microaggression.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
almost like a political stance with that one nowadays.
yeah, yeah. Another common one was don't blame me. I never owned slaves.
Oh yeah.
I could say I have heard someone say that not that long ago, actually, for that one. Not that I
Yikes.
owned slaves, but more like a it happened many years ago. Like get over it.
Oh
That
yeah.
type of
I had a
microaggression.
heated discussion with a friend of mine about how he feels like dude, I think it really damaged our friendship because it came to like fruition about how he felt about people of color and ethnic minorities, and I hadn't been educated enough, but like a lot of what I've learned kind of went hand in hand with how I felt, but didn't have the education and the resources to back that, like those claims. But I remember kind of popping off on him and being like, dude, these are people that have been systemically and historically abused by the system and by people of power. Like literally ended the like hell. We used to talk almost every day, and now I don't talk to him more than a couple times a month, maybe. And that's pushing it, but Yeah, that checks out, dude. So
Yeah.
what can we do to what is it? Does it give you any solutions in that article?
Solution wise, yeah, it gives us solutions pretty much how to educate the perpetrator in like different scenarios. Also giving reasons of why it's offensive, but or like what to say to it, like comebacks to it. As far as like an actual what we could do, I mean, I think everyone is different. Everyone, like some people may not understand why it's offensive, but some people might understand it better if it's like
If
getting
it's like
wise rather than saying how it's offensive, you know?
oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, I watched a TED talk by the Tiffany Albert. She also talked about the aggression during her TED talk, and at the end she was talking about because most of the microaggression people don't realize they say it. You just when you're trying to say something, maybe you should like take a pause, like think about it. What you gonna say, how they gonna affect the people that you're saying to, and that probably solve most of the problem because most of the time I sometimes use the word ghetto. That word is actually microaggression to the brown and the black people in our nation. So if I sometimes just take a pause in my mind and think about it, maybe that will change how I use my word.
I feel like a lot of the topics that we've discussed kind of stem from like a point of like taking a step back and acknowledging stuff that we do, like patterns that we fall into, whether it be speaking or our actions, and like becoming like self-aware to a point that would really like end a lot of these kind of issues that we encounter, especially in like the racial and ethnic, you know, and ethical framework that we talk about. I feel like just the sheer concept of just becoming self aware that you do these things or you fall into these categories, or like you mentioned, like, you know, like, oh, dude, that's ghetto. You start to realize the more that you look into the topics, you become more self aware that, like, you know, that's kind of fucked up that I say that. Um, Speaking about that, and kind of what Steven mentioned about how to like address the microaggressions in the moment. I had a moment at the coffee shop I work at, which is kind of why I wanted to do microaggressions as the talking point this week. Not to name the name of the chain I work for, but I was working there, and our the system that our coffee shop uses in like the ordering process has changed a little bit over time, especially with like the COVID pandemic, and they changed to a different model of like how to order and pick up and stuff like that. But since they ordered back before the pandemic and versus now, we kind of had to adopt a different framework the store wasn't initially set up for. Long story short, we used to have like it's still there on the ground, like, you know, like where to line up, but it's super faded away. Like even to the point where I've gone and like ordered some like reflective tape to like really make it pop. Um like we're constantly having to tell people like, hey, form the line going outside the side door. So sorry. Like if you guys are looking to order, do this, that, the other thing. The other night I had two Asian women come up to the counter. And they were looking at the menu. I was like, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like anything that needs explanation. And while they're sitting there looking at the menu, two more women walk up and are kind of standing going out the wrong door, but like they're close enough to like kind of think that they're in line, but they're looking at the menu back behind me. And then another woman, tall blonde white woman, walks past and is standing on the completely wrong side, looking at like the pastry case and like the menu. And if you know and you've been to this coffee shop before, you understand how the ordering system works. You understand where the line forms. Um, so one of the Asian women ordered, right? Helped her process her order. And while she's doing that, the blonde woman and the second Asian woman were talking about something, and I didn't catch it because I was helping the initial guest, right? And I assume they worked it out through whatever means. White woman came up, ordered, and then the second initial guest, the second Asian woman, was about to order, and then the two other white women that were standing in the completely wrong spot stepped up to order, and I was like, "Oh, actually, this woman's next." And immediately, two white women popped off and were like, "No, we were next." Blah 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 blah. Like, we know where we're supposed to be being. Like, she cut us in line and was like, "Well, actually, I'm a pause right there. If anything, the blonde lady actually cut in front of all of you. I know for a fact that these two came in together. She's the next to order. It's not that big of a deal." And dude, I don't know what went through me, why I popped off the way I did at this moment. But the white woman stepped back, put her hand out, and was like, "It's fine. Let the Asian go first."
Oh,
Dude, I do not know. I'm super non-confrontational. I don't like to engage in shit like that. And I don't know if it's because of this podcast or because of what we're learning in like our different classes. But like, I sparked up and I looked her right in the eyes and I was like, we're not going to do that. That is the last fucking thing we're going to do. Not here, not in this shop. Insert coffee chain name here is for everybody. We don't discriminate. We don't bring that kind of stuff. Look, I don't mind serving you in the order in which you came in. But what we're not going to do is bring that kind of rhetoric and that kind of hateful talk into this establishment. If it continues, I have no problem asking you to leave. She was next. I'm going to help her. And if you continue with that kind of talk, I'll ask you to leave and I will not be serving you today. And like this, the Asian woman, dude, she stepped up to order and she was about to look over her shoulder to like say something back to him. And I was like, Miss, please look at me. Don't worry about them. They're my problem. I'll deal with that. I am so sorry. Like, I went the extra mile. I freebied out her coffee. I pulled the tip jars away. I'm like, I don't want you to think about tipping. I am so sorry. That should never happen to begin with. Your coffee's on me. I don't want you to even think about doing anything like that. If anything, I'm coming at this at a point of like apologetic that like this would ever happen in this establishment. Before I could even finish the transaction with that woman, the other two women that popped off and said some like out of pocket microaggression shit, they left. And my first thought was good fucking riddance, dude. There is no time, no space, no environment in which I will allow that kind of shit to propagate. And so like that moment fueled me to want to do the topic of podcast this week of microaggressions. And like when I told other like coworkers, I'm like, yeah, dude, what was that all about? I'm like, you will not believe the shit this woman said, and you won't believe what I said back. Like, I don't know who that was.
Yeah.
And they're like,
you did a good job.
Dude,
just a
like,
coincidence. Just a coincidence, Colin. What tax bracket was this area in?
Oh god. I mean, like, it's an upper, predominantly white. Generally, if you want to talk political alignment, the city is politically Republican, especially especially in the wake of the presidential election. I feel a lot of people are a lot more bold in this like cultural othering and like viewpoints of minority groups. But I think it's more important now than ever to like really stand the fuck up for people, especially if you're in a position where you can say something. There's never been a better time to stand the fuck up and say something. Don't tolerate it.
You think areas of that, like how you just mentioned, they are more open to microaggression than other areas, or like they'll either suppress it, hide it, or actually see that the microaggression that they're doing is harmful, so they don't do
I
it.
don't think there's that much accountability. I feel like there's a certain tendency to feel like, and we talked about it the other week, about like, I think we were talking about the white privilege element that you brought up.
Mhm.
And I think I mentioned a talking point of like, as white people, we get to be ignorant of the problems of like racial remarks because I'm white. You mentioned it before, white is right kind of mentality, like
Yeah.
people vote to keep a white person in power because they don't want white to fall into a minority group. They feel like strongly that the United States is a predominantly white majority, and they fear that, like, I mean, a lot of our laws, regulations, societal, like historical, a lot of the stuff is structured from a perspective of white man. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
people like feel the tendency that if even if they're not a white man, they still feel empowered to be white and to be able to, especially in a largely like upper class white Republican city, to feel comfortable making statements like that. And I feel like it's really important in today's day and age, especially to like be an ally to those that otherwise can't speak for themselves.
Mhm.
Um, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the topic of um fuck, how would you guys have reacted? Like it's hard to like put yourself in the moment until you're in the shit. But like how do you think you would have reacted? Do you think you would have just kind of just been quiet? Do you feel like you would have popped off and said something? What do you think you guys would have
Well,
done?
well, I noticed from my experience that when stuff like that happens, like if I don't know you and you actually said that on like some racist shit, uh 100% I'm gonna pop off on you like in a very disrespectful way. By that I mean like I'm not gonna keep that shit politically correct. I'm not gonna keep it professional. I'm cursing you out, calling you bitch, fuck you, pussy, all that shit. I'm ready to throw blows.
Well, imagine you're at work and you're working like you're a manager at this chain. You can't just start swinging on a motherfucker.
See, the thing is that that has actually happened in the workplace for me at one point, and it actually wasn't the first time, and I actually had to slap someone in their face for it. Like I did it. Now I didn't
What?
care, gave no fucks about it. And then after
At
I
work?
did it, I even looked at him, and I'm like, "Come on, let's go tell our lead or our supervisor that I did it." I'm
Oh
glad.
my god.
And he just looked with that face of like how he wanted to cry, you know. And like he didn't speak. Obviously, his friend spoke for him, but hey, no repercussions on my part because I mean, yeah, sure, go to the manager or whatever them and be like, yeah, I got slapped by him. Why? I kind of said some racist shit. I'm like, oh, you kind of deserved it, you know. But yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
knowing me, I would definitely try to start a fight.
Damn. Harrison, what do you think you would have done in this situation?
I definitely gonna speak up, but yeah, I didn't really face a lot of the similar situation as you guys. So in my mind right now, I definitely gonna speak up, but I don't know in the real life. I maybe do something different, or maybe I just don't say anything. Depends on the environment, to be honest.
Ken's gonna shoot him.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, whoa. That's
Whoa.
extreme.
Only saying that, guys, because he's a military police. Okay, everyone, calm down, listeners. Get it? Police shooting.
Is it isn't it worse to have military brutality than it is to have police brutality?
See, that sounds like a little bit of microaggression you're giving right there.
Oh my god, here we go. Well, I guess we should kind of segue into the second part. How do you guys think we can be better when it comes to microaggressions, given everything we've talked about? Steven, what about you?
How we could be better about microaggression?
Yeah.
Like taking it or like how exactly?
I guess more or less like you see it, you hear it, obviously it's not in anybody's best interest for you to start swinging on somebody, but I mean, I guess that'd be the fastest and most direct way to shut it
Sometimes
down.
people just need to get hit and be like, "Wow, that was a great reality check," you know? Sometimes.
Well, I mean, you gotta find ways to be nonviolent with it. You know,
Yeah,
ways
yeah.
that don't end up with a person of color in police custody. You know,
Yeah. How can we better it? How can we be better from it? Honestly, I'm gonna just keep saying to what I know pretty much is um mixing yourself with like the different race that you're not used to or not around all the time. Getting that type of, I don't want to say experience because that's not an experience. It's you just, more like a friendship with someone else. You tend to see it their way, and you see it more than how you usually would. Not the way the media or social media or movies present it. You're like, damn, that is kind of fucked up. You know what? Like, damn, I never saw it like that. And
so
it's until you experience
more
that with other people.
so more of a practical, like actually act it out instead of saying like the microaggression. Oh, I don't see color. You actually go through events in your life that not necessarily force you to adopt that mentality, but like make that mentality intrinsic to who you are. So like a
Yeah.
group association thing that'll change your initial perspective to the point where you don't have to say that. You just don't see it anymore. You legitimately just don't.
Yeah, like that. Have more
Okay.
color friends, man. I'll be honest. They'll tell you straight up.
Harrison, what do
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Kind of like what I said in the middle of the podcast, like take a pause when you saying something. If you say it, take the responsibility, acknowledge what mistake you made, and commit to change, I guess.
okay. Well,
We're failing as a society.
Yeah.
I feel like that probably wraps up how everybody feels about
Yep.
uh about microaggressions as a whole.
Yeah,
You guys
don't
have
lie.
any other closing statements?
Sure do.
Fire
Be
away.
nice to people.
Be good to people.
Don't be a racist piece of shit.
Yep.
You know, my dad used to say that anytime he dropped me off anywhere, before I got out of the truck, he'd always be like, "Hey, I love you, but be good to people."
Your dad told you he
Yeah.
loves you? Tell me how
Yeah,
that
I
is.
know. That's white
Must
privilege,
be
bro.
nice.
Tell you, I
Must
don't
be
know. Tell you,
nice.
that's white
You
privilege
have a
right there.
dad?
You guys have dads? Oh God. All right, guys. I feel like that just about wraps up our talking points for this
Absolutely.
episode. So I say thank you guys for joining us for another heated discussion, and join us next time when I don't even know what our next topic is. I guess you guys will have to stay tuned for that one. But yeah, you guys want to leave in the comments any ways that you guys think that we can combat micro or even macro aggressions, like leave it in the comments. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys again for joining us.
Peace. Spice out.
Rice out.
Nice out.